Matthew 7:24 through 28. Therefore, whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on his house. And it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock. But everyone who hears these words, sayings of mine, and does not do them, will be like the foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rains descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it fell, and great was that fall. And so it was, when Jesus had ended these sayings, that the people were astonished at his teachings.
Thank you, Ms. Shirley. This is the word of God for the people of God.
Praise be to God.
Praise be to God indeed. We're going to have just a little humor this morning. If any of you have lived in the city, you would like this one, and thank God if you don't, because this is what happens. Okay, let's see your building permit, or building sand castles. No, let's see. No fun. They all didn't like it. Okay. I'll preach. We have all kinds of castles to build. And some of us build them and we don't feel there's no way out. Life is closing in on us. And our life is starting to crumble. Sometimes that castle turns into this with one big wave. Something that devastates your whole life. I don't care if it's a loss of a loved one, a child doing something you shouldn't do, a sickness, an illness. I don't care what it is. When that wave hits you, many times you feel like your castle has been totally destroyed. How many people never realize they are building a life of destruction? In America today, we do not ask people to be a separate people, to be a peculiar people. We do not expect people to stand up for Christ. I never thought I would see the day that they would disrespect soldiers and our flag and our country and our churches. We have shootings in churches. That's unheard of. That went out with the Indians. My next question is, how many people are willing to trust God with their lives? How many people are willing to trust God with their lives? You know, every day I have to find a way to make sure I can sit down and get in touch with God and say, lead me where I need to be, what I need to be doing, and meet who I need to meet. Now, none of you have ever seen this, the money tree. Do you think money talks in the world today? Oh, we got some amens up here. Yeah. The first time I got an amen all day. Money talks. But is money a problem? What's the problem with money? The what?
Love of money.
I'm going to have to get one at a time. Love of money. Many times people will sacrifice their families for the love of money, and when it all comes down to it, they get nothing out of it. How many of you have ever seen this? Party time. Everybody's gonna have a party. Woo, let's get on with the party. Isn't that the way young people think today? Not all of them. It's party time. Well, I want to help Harry with one of his things. It says, many enter by the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road way that leads to destruction, and there are many who go by it. In other words, man, let's just let it all go. Let's all have a ball. That's easy. But it's hard to stand firm when you are a college person and all these crazy people around you. When you are working with people who are eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we shall die. They don't look after death. There is a judgment after death. People who trust the ways of the world become bitter. And I want you to know this, bitter, because the things of the world are tuned into Satan and not to God. When things don't go right, or as planned, individuals become frustrated and bitter. Now, this little cartoon said it had 5 habits of bitter people. Well, I'm sorry, I found 8. And we're going to go over those this morning. And when people's castles get destroyed, you're going to look around and see this. Many individuals become bitter when they are faced with their wrong choices. Listen to me. When people are faced with the wrong choices. How many of you have ever been a child and your parents tell you, man, you were stupid for doing that? Any of you? Other than me? Oh, Kenny's laughing. Did you ever have that, Kenny?
Maybe.
Maybe. There's a possibility. Okay, I'm glad. Same way with me, but I think we want to cover. Bitter people are always right. And if you don't believe it, ask them. Bitter people tend to be always right. And they know they're always right because they'll tell you. When things go wrong, they feel the world has betrayed them and become very angry at God over the choices they make. How many of you have ever said, I'm not going back to church? Oh, here he goes. Slave. Sit, lay down right there. Lay down. Thank you. I wish I knew that way. They become angry with God over their bad choices. I can't understand that. They say, God is a good God. How could He let that happen to me? Because you make stupid decisions and things go wrong. You make the right decisions, things will go right. Now, I want to say this. The world is full of parents who's afraid to say no to their children. Scared to death to say no. I got the back row, I've already got some ABs back there. We don't have that problem in our house. That's great, it should be. I know at the next row up, there's no's been said. I know no's been said there. I'm sure no's been said in every place. But you know what? Some people get mad when they hear no. Because they want to do what they want to do. Now children, listen up, children. Sometimes your mommies and daddies have to hear no. And they might have to hear it from a boss. They might have to hear it from their husband or their wife. most of all, they better be listening for God to say no. When God says no, that's it. He means no. They become bitter and they start focusing on the injustices they perceive they have had to experience. And the more it becomes a part of their life. How many of you have ever been around someone that says, poor, poor, pitiful me? Poor, poor, pitiful me. You know what? I've had to pay prices most of the time, if not always. It was my fault. Sometimes it was handed to me. But when we get out, people who build sandcastles blame other people for their bad feelings, bad treatment. They never address an issue immediately, and the problem only festers in their soul. Now, I want you to think about this. If you have a problem, the longer you let it go, what happens? The worse it gets. But how many of us are afraid to go to Harry and say, Harry, I'm sorry, buddy, you offended me in church when you made faces at me or something like that. I mean, and Harry would say, I didn't mean to, that was when my wife hit me. I'd say, okay, Harry, I understand. But you know, many times we never want to face the issue immediately. The longer you let something go, the worse it becomes. Then they become jealous of anything and everything. Well, look at that Leonard. He thinks he's a church person. He got to go on vacation. He got to do this. He got to do that. He gets to work up the wheeling. And he gets, you know what? If you sacrifice like Leonard sacrificed, you could do it. Do I hear an amen? Amen. You know, people are looking for a gravy train. And the only thing you're going to get in real life is a bucket of rocks or sand that's going to be washed away. They tend to seek attention by pouting and making sure everyone knows about their terrible, terrible treatment. If you think pouting solves the problem, hey, it only makes people think you're stupid. Pardon my French, I never use that word much. But think about it. If I pouted, if someone didn't shake hands with me, or someone didn't talk to me at church, or they came in late and left early, and I get mad about it, hey, I'm thankful you show up. I'm tickled with that. That's part of my life. And they view the world very negative. Now, have any of you ever met anyone like that? Okay, come on, honest, face up. Okay, you all have? You didn't hold your hands up. I'm trying to get a revival over here. Trying to get them in the spirit. You know, how many of you enjoy being around someone like that? Well, if I come in the bank, Gary's there, and I say, well, Gary, I've only had 4 cars repossessed, I've lost 3 houses. I can't find a job that really makes me happy, and I want to borrow $250,000. You know, I think the world owes that to me, Gary. What would happen? Oh, Even the new bank would? See, you have to realize reality. Man, work is called work. When you work for the Lord, is it always convenient? He sometimes calls me at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I have to go to the phone and go, hello, how you doing? Got a problem? And it's not my church members, is it, Norman? It's other people. But you know what? If I don't go for them, don't expect me to go for you. I have to love people into this church. You have to love people into this church. This is the deal. If you don't love people into this church, why should they even come? Man, sermon. Bitter and unhappy people will never trust or see good in anyone because, here's the reason why, they do not see good or trust in themselves. They can't get down to business and say, hey, I need to be a Christian for the Lord. I need to stand up for what's right. I need to do what's right. I need to do what makes me happy, makes others happy, but most of all makes God happy. Amen. My wife even said that. Y'all want me to go over that again? If you're bitter about the life you've chosen, stop blaming it to people who've chosen to have a better one. You know what? I'm sick of hearing people cry, I've been mistreated, nothing went right. I grew up in the coal fields. Life was tough. We had a murder a week in Boone County. There was lots of love there. I'm telling you, it was the size of Marshall County, and we had love. It was spread everywhere. I mean to tell you. My dad went to work for a quarter a day in the coal mines after his dad was killed when he was 15. So I didn't grow up with a spoon in my mouth. I was pleased to have a fork with a piece of meat on it. But my parents never complained. They never said, poor, pitiful me. We'd get up, and I remember some guy filed, my mother had a store, and they filed bankruptcy on it. And they had a bill of over $2,000. Back then, $2,000 was a lot of money. Our Christmas was real thin. Dad said, I hope you understand. I said, man, do I ever understand? That was a lesson to me. That was a lesson to me to make sure I paid my bills so other people wouldn't feel like I feel. Proverbs 10:29 says, the way of the Lord is strength for the upright, but the destruction will come to the workers of iniquity. Let me tell you something. Iniquity is weakness. Every habit that you can think of, there's a weakness. I don't care what it is. If it's gambling, there's a weakness. Don't blame it on the drugs. Other blaming the drugs for gambling. If it's cursing, maybe you get a little out of your mouth some other time, right? I mean, we can go down a list of them. But I'm telling you, the strength of the Lord is for the upright. And He gives you strength to survive. I need to know something. Have you ever built a sandcastle in your life? Have you ever done something and 10 minutes later you look back and you say, it's all gone? I learned something in a fire. You can have everything one minute and lose it all the next. I mean, lose it. Am I crying? No. I'm saying God taught me a good lesson. I'm happy He taught me the lesson. I don't like it. It wasn't the way I wanted it, but maybe it was the only way I could grasp it. Maybe it was a way for me to say to you, listen, stand firm for what is God, or He might have to teach you a lesson. That was a lesson for me. That was a hard lesson. And you people nurtured me through it. You loved me through it. I'm sure there's times I preached that you thought, God, that guy's crazy. Probably was. But I said, I am not going to let Satan whip me. I am not going to let this get me down. He's tried on my legs, he's tried on my back, he's tried with the fire, and I'm going to tell you something. I plan on preaching till the day I die.
Amen.
We need to build our house on the solid rock. We need to go out and find out what Jesus Christ wants us to do. We need to get on our knees in a place of quietness, without a TV, with the cell phone. See here? Turn off. Turn off. Get with God. This cell phone, we talked about it a week or so ago. It gets more attention than our Bible does, I promise you. I promise you. If you got as much Bible time as you do Facebook time, man, you would be awesome. What a Sunday school teacher you do. God says, I say, whosoever shall confess me before men, confess me before men, him shall the Son of Man confess before the angels of God. You said, well, Peter denied it. Peter had a bad mouth on him. He was quick to shoot off. But when he was so faithful, he was the rock of that whole group. And when he arose, he told the women, and go tell who? Peter. The last man you'd think of, wouldn't you? The guy who cursed him in the streets and denied him. He said, this is my rock. You make sure you tell him. Make sure you tell him. If you haven't committed your life wholly to the Lord, wholly to seeking souls, man, I want you to do some confessing today. Because if you're not, you're going to be miserable. I promise you, God will make you miserable. If we could, let us seek God's face in prayer. Hurry, would you close it, please?
Heavenly Father, you are awesome. We thank you for your love. We thank you that we are your children. Thank you for your presence in our lives. We pray that we would be pleasing to you. That when we get to the end of the road, you'd say, well done, thy good and faithful servant. Amen. Help us again to be brave, Lord, courageous, kind, and loving, and to seek you daily. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Let us now turn in our hymnals and sing hymn number 215. All right. increased blessing. And you know, this is something we can do over our children every day. We should. It's something that, it's in the Bible, and the priest did it when the people were leaving. He pronounced his blessing on them. And you know, we should do this. We should learn this. This is Matthew 6, 24 through 26. I want you to write it down before we leave. Mark it in your Bible. Read it over your husband, your children, your wife. Pray for them. And let us pray. May the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance on you and give you peace. Amen.